Hello, everybody. Welcome to Expression Pass here on Boss Rush Network. I'm your host, the last excited ADV. Joining me is the one, the only Bossman himself, Mr. Corey Deary. Hello, good sir.
Hello, I'm here. I'm here. Hello, Ed.
Hello. Corey, I kind of got a question to ask you. Definitely with all this Switch 2 leaks and, the anticipation of Nintendo actually revealing it. I actually earlier before um we started recording, why haven't we seen like fan art of the console? It's been a thing when it comes to Nintendo consoles, like with the Wii U, actually the original Switch. We've seen a lot of fan interpretations. Do you think because of Genkai at CES showcasing an idea of it that we haven't seen any?
Um, I don't know. I know that used to be like a big thing, especially like when remember all the weird PlayStation 5 like weird like that V-shaped box and
Yeah.
all these weird things coming out, right? And I mean, remember when the Switch was rumored? Remember that little oval screen that somebody 3D printed and faked out the entire internet?
Yeah.
With the two sticks on the front of the screen. Um, I think I think we're at a point where people don't care about the boxes anymore, and that a handheld device is going to look like a handheld device. And I think people just assume that the next console is going to look very similar to the current one, especially since it's backwards compatible. And I just think that has spawned a lack of creativity to try to make up what this thing is going to look like, because we kind of have known it's going to be a Switch 2, right? And
Yes.
um I think that just has a lot to do with, we know what it is, or we've kind of had an idea of what it is since, probably for like a year or two. And I also think that it's I think no offense to the current regime at Nintendo, right? But like the big thing is that they are very conservative. And so I think that lack of like a Reggie type character, or
Mm.
an Iwata at the forefront, like I think that has also kind of informed fans that, hey, this is going to be a kind of conservative approach to the next console. And so like it just doesn't, there's no need for that. And I think people have kind of moved on to like other types of art, if they're doing art or something of that nature. I don't know.
Yes.
I think people are more a fan of games now than they are of like the platforms. I think we're kind of coming to that point. Um so yeah, I think that's probably part of the reason. It's just because we kind of already know what it is, though. I think is kind of the main reason. And so there's no point in trying to guess uh what this thing is going to look like.
Because
I don't know.
what came to my mind is like the Steam and Rogue Ally. It's just like they look like big handhelds with wider screens, and it feels like the bigger and wider you get, I don't know how colorful those systems hold, and I just wonder if people were to draw the successor with some information that they know, what do you think they were trying to make it sleeker, or do you think they were trying to match it? Um, and everything, because I think Nintendo has learned, definitely with the DS Fat, the original DS, is that you want to make something that looks sleeker. Wii U really wasn't sleek or anything. It was kind of basic with this console, but it was pretty much the gamepad. It just kind of feels like if you look at the Wii, um, even a little bit of the GameCube, and the DS Lite and Nintendo 3DS and even the 2DS. You know, there's some kind of sleekness to it. Um, and I wonder if people were to make fan art of what the next system could be, would they try to make that system sleeker?
You froze. Sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
Oh, would they try to make the system sleeker? Um,
Yeah, I think that.
no, oh,
I think that's the entire point of the console. At least from what we've seen, it looks so like. I think whatever because we know the ROG Ally 2 is in development. We know Steam will probably release a second Steam Deck at some point. Um, and Nintendo's, I mean, the Switch is already sleek, but I think they are going to try to do a little bit to make it a little bit sleeker, especially because it's going to have a larger screen. So, like, you kind of want it to feel sleek because it's going to be larger. So I think everybody who's going to be putting out a handheld is going to want it to look like a sleek piece of technology that runs their games.
yes,
And I think the ROG Ally is from the handheld PC perspective is probably the nicest looking one. The black one especially is really nice looking, but it's still kind of thick and clunky, and the Steam Deck is not it's not it's a functional machine, we'll say. It's not the sleekest looking machine.
it's very Game Gearish. Game Gear meets
Mhm. Yeah.
Links. That's what I get from it.
Yeah. So I don't know. I feel like I think man, I think that the weird thing about these powerful handhelds is that um the tech you have to put inside these things, like it's not getting any smaller. So
Hmm.
you have to create these unique designs to fit the tech inside, and I actually think that's like that's like Nintendo's advantage over all of these handhelds, is that like they're never going to be as powerful as the next big thing. So like that technology can shrink at a at a better price than than the rest of them. Um, so yeah, I don't know. That's kind of these handheld consoles, man. It's so weird. You look at like the Alienware one that's coming out. I don't know if you saw that or not. The UFO kind of thing that's very
Now,
triangular and very like sharp edges and very like it looks uncomfortable. I'm like,
mm,
man, like just make something that looks and feels like a normal functioning device and a comfortable device, not this like angular. How am I supposed to hold that with normal human hands thing? You know,
yeah,
uh, and you get some of that with like the MSI Claw and the Lenovo Legion Go. Although the Legion Go S, which is the smaller version of it, looks pretty nice. I actually really like the way that device looks a lot. Um, but again, like I don't. This is where like PC gaming loses me. Is there's so many different configurations and ways to have a device set up, and I don't know. I know people swear to God that these things like that PC gaming is going to take over and be like the ultimate thing. But like I really think the hardcore PC players underestimate the average gamer and how they just want to plug something into their TV and play it for 2 hours every night or an
yeah,
hour every night before they go to bed. And PC gaming, you can't do that. You have to like do all this extra stuff to just make games work, and people don't want to do that. People want to plug their console into their TV, or they want to pull it out of the dock and play it for an hour or two and then go to bed, right?
yeah,
That's what your average gamer is. That's like what 85 to 90% of people that play games do, you know? They
Did
don't
you?
want to sit at a desk and put this ugly giant, box on under their desk or on their desk that,
Yeah.
you know, like, I know it's the cool thing to have like RGB lights and clear boxes and like, but man, PC towers are so ugly. Every time I see one on like a screen or like somewhere, it's
Mm.
just they're so ugly,
I
you
think
know.
it's the I think that's why people are into custom making a lot of their PC towers
And
now.
that's fine, but I still don't. I still think that like PC gaming is gonna be
Yeah.
like it's gonna be something for the hardcore or the person who like wants to build for you know not just gaming stuff, but for like video editing or work stuff or normal PC using stuff, and then they like, oh well, I like to play games, so I might as well build one that can play some games. Um, and it's just I don't know. I understand the customization from a customization standpoint, how it's
Mhm.
cool and fun and interesting, but like that would drive me nuts to have to like try to figure out why my game won't work every single time. Like, like when a new game comes out and I can't run it at high settings because I don't have the right $1,000 graphics card and I have to go buy this other graphics card or I have to download, it seems really annoying. And I don't want to,
Yeah.
I'm not trying to take that away from anybody who likes PC gaming and like, I think the Steam Deck has kind of made that a little bit easier to pill to swallow. Although the things I hear about people trying to get games to run on the Steam Deck also is like, I just want to
Interesting.
turn, I just want to turn the device on and play it, and um, that's why I just want to buy a console and stick it under my TV and call it
Mhm.
quits.
But
Uh,
did you kind of find it funny though that the talk about console versus PC and vice versa is that it Valve had been trying to always get a home console or something in the market. And it took the Nintendo Switch, it took a console like Nintendo to make them take that idea and get into the hands of the people. Um and everything. And you would think that it would be the other way around, that it would be PC that got consoles to be more like them, but Nintendo did it to Steam. Like Nintendo, one of the biggest well-known companies for video games from
mm-hmm,
Japan, took one of the probably the world's biggest video game or video game software service, whatever you want to call Steam, to like almost trans like transform their whole service and how they do things with games, with Steam Deck being a big priority to their business now.
mm-hmm,
You
yeah,
know, you go from Mario helping create video games in the sense of become well known with their kind of character, where Steam had like Half-Life and Half-Life 2. Now
mm-hmm,
you look at it, it's Nintendo's console that birthed this whole PC handheld generation, even
mm-hmm,
though Nintendo had handhelds. It's so weird to like think about and like pinpoint stuff.
mm-hmm, yeah, yeah. I mean, Nintendo's always been obsessed with like changing the way we think about playing games, right?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that gimmick works out and sometimes it doesn't. Like the Wii really worked out for a little bit, right? That motion control fad was something for them, right? But like the Wii U didn't work out. The DS was super popular and the 3DS less so, but still popular. But like changing the game doesn't have to be something so crazy like that. It can just simply be what they did with the Switch, right? Like the way we think about games now is playing it on multiple devices or playing it
Mm-hmm.
in multiple places, keeping your library with you, whether that's, something like the Switch or something like Steam and Steam Deck, right? Like, and I could totally see Steam either doing a second run at those. Remember the Steam boxes that came? Different companies were
Yeah.
making, they were licensing out the Steam OS for Steam boxes, and some of them were good and some of them weren't, but they never really took off. But I actually think, like, if someone was to enter a console market today, Steam or Valve would be the console to do it, or the company to do it, because they
Yeah.
already they've been, that's the Trojan horse is the Steam OS and the Steam library. That's the Trojan horse. Like, you just sell the console now, and like, maybe they don't even sell controllers. Maybe they're just like, you can play with an Xbox or a PlayStation controller, it doesn't matter. Or we have a controller. You can buy that if you want. We'll put a controller in the box, but if you will have one of these other controllers, you can use those too. Like, I don't see why they couldn't do that. And again, maybe they don't want to, right? I mean, they can do whatever they want. They're a privately held company, and they don't, nobody owns them. Nobody can tell them what to do. Gabe just kind of, makes that money and swims in it like Scrooge McDuck, and everybody goes home happy, right? But yeah, I think I don't know. I just really think that Valve is the company that can do something similar to Nintendo and really change how we think about games. But like, they would still have
Okay.
to owe that to Nintendo, like,
Yeah.
I mean, because the Steam is such a it's an interesting platform because it's been going for so long, right? That's the thing.
Right.
It's like Steam's been going for so long, and people have really built their libraries up. Their games are always on sale, right? And like, I mean, I have some Steam games and I don't PC game at all because
I do
some
too.
games were on sale or games were given away, or you know certain games like Destiny is a game that can like be played anywhere, no matter which platform you bought it on. The only things you have to buy on the platform are the major expansions, like all the seasonal content and stuff. You can like switch platforms and play on different. It's interesting. Um,
Even like with the Humble Bumble, it's a big thing for PC, and at one point it was big for Nintendo too. The Humble
yeah,
Bumble.
yeah. Uh, so I really think I think Steam is I don't think it's healthy for PlayStation to be unchallenged, right? In
Mm-hmm.
the power market, or whatever you want to call it, right? The major 4K market, or whatever like,
Yeah.
I don't think I don't think that's healthy for anyone. And I think that leaves the door. I mean, that's they pretty much came out and said that like the reason why the PlayStation 5 Pro costs as much as it does is because there is no competition.
Mm-hmm.
There's no. Now, granted, I know they're talking about Xbox not having a pro console, but also like they're also talking about Xbox just isn't selling anything. And so I wonder how they're gonna adjust to that, and I wonder if anybody will make the jump, because I mean, we've seen a lot of companies kind of half-ass their way into this, right? Like, Google tried a little bit, Apple has tried for years, and like
Yeah.
they just don't care about games, right? The way that someone who wants to get into the console game should. Netflix has tried, and they opened that AAA studio, kept them open for 3.5 years, and then shut it down. So they clearly don't care about games. I think a lot of these companies just underestimate how like the starting a game studio now is so devastatingly undertaking and
Yeah.
costs so much money. Like, you're gonna have to have like $1 billion just to open one studio, right? Like just to if you want to run a AAA game, I should say, right? Like
And
to staff up, have 100 to 200 employees, license out an engine, have a studio space, have a, hire your named directors and producers and all that kind of stuff, right? Like it's a huge undertaking that that everyone who starts clearly misunderstands, right? And so that's why I think you're seeing a lot of these. I think that's why you're seeing a lot of smaller companies come in and do it correctly, right? Like Midwest Games
yeah,
is a publisher that we kind of pointed out that, but they're not making a console, right? They're just doing games, but still, like
games. And
they,
I think.
it's
Oh, go
interesting.
ahead, Corey.
I was just gonna say it's interesting.
Oh,
That's all.
and I think it's. I think if you want to get to the point where Nintendo, Valve, Microsoft, Sony, and some of the triple A's like EA, Activision, Capcom, like if you want to get to that point, that takes years of games, of
Yeah.
investments. You're going to gamble with the success and the failures. And plus, during those early days, arcades played a part of it. So I think with this modern age of gaming, definitely with PC, and if you look at Steam, um, Steam, Valve had some certain games and stuff, and they got successful off their PC service. Because
Mm-hmm.
it was the first kind of way to buy games on a digital platform and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And like with Nintendo, of course they had Japan, they had the UK, they had America, but they had to do something different because Atari crashed the video game industry. You
Yeah.
know,
Mm-hmm.
so if you think about games now, I think that's why when it comes to success, um, with games, you would see an indie game more likely to success than a new IP from a big up and coming triple A developer and stuff. Or and I
Mm-hmm.
think that's why when I know we started off talking about the fan art of the console, in a sense, but like if you actually think about fan art and just fans and even fan games and stuff, like those have a possibility of being big hits on not just PC, but like on Nintendo's platform in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's it's kind of
Yeah.
it's very just interesting the transition of gaming when it comes to Nintendo. Like in reality, it should have been Nintendo versus the consoles, but now it's like Nintendo versus the PC and the handhelds that those systems are released on. Because I'm like, yeah, you selling the ROG Ally, you selling the Steam Deck, but I'm like, still, a lot of people are doing their indie games and gaming on Nintendo still.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, in like Nintendo's the only place where you're gonna get Nintendo games, right? Like that's
Yes.
they're not ever going to move to PC or I heard some people say, "Ooh, one day they're going to put their old games on PC." I'm like, "No, they're not. No, they're not."
Mm-mm.
Nintendo is always, they don't need to supplement their budget. That's the other thing too. Is like their budget is fine. They're not over budgeting anything. I mean, like if anything, a lot of their games could probably use a little bit more budget. um, especially with like voice acting and uh in moving into like probably I don't want to say the 4K space, but like higher resolutions than 1080p, right? They're gonna that their some of their assets are gonna be upscaled, and I know their Nvidia technology is gonna be able to do that, but like it's Nintendo has always marched by a beat of a different drummer, and they are
Hmm.
going to just keep doing that. Um, I just could never see Nintendo going the way that Sony did or Microsoft did and just go for raw power and these expensive experiences. And so, I mean, someday we'll get there, right? But by that time, like, those experiences will be so cheap, and Sony and Microsoft will be doing something else in the game space, right? Like
Yeah.
once we get those PlayStation 5 game level games, like PlayStation 7 will probably be out. Who knows? I don't know. But that's okay, because we love Nintendo, and Nintendo's just gonna be themselves, and it's exciting.
I, I think what I find interesting is that, at a point where like all the big games was going to Microsoft or Sony because that's where they believe the sales was at. Now you look at Sony and Microsoft now, they're putting their first party games on PC to make sales.
Well, that's what I'm
Where
saying.
it's
Is like
where
that's what I was
oh yeah.
saying is they're supplementing the cost of some of their budgeting with with PC sales.
Hmm.
And Microsoft has been doing that for a long time now, right? I mean, with probably Quantum Break was kind of the first example of that. Remember when everybody freaked out that they put Quantum Break on PC?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that was rough. It was, and yeah,
So I, I think definitely we're switched to. I think we're going to be paying more attention to the successor and like Steam and the PC handhelds and stuff. I think we'll still pay attention to Microsoft and Sony with their new consoles, but like when it comes to like hardware with Microsoft, it's gonna be their handheld system. Okay, will there be fan art for that? PlayStation 6, whenever that gets revealed, will there be fan art for that? You know, um, like, well, definitely Marcini from PlayStation from Sony. Like it's going to be kind of interesting to see the future of these consoles and the handhelds. But yeah, I'm just wondering about the fan art for these consoles, or will do you think people will just like they custom make um like Nintendo DS's or Super Nintendos and stuff like that. Like put that old hardware or get an emulator or stuff like that um to make a console or handheld or stuff. Do you think we'll see more of that after um the successor uh or anything?
I don't think so. I think that was kind of a stopgap thing. Um, I think those are like, you know, pull the pull the ripcord in case of emergency. But I don't see that happening, really, to be honest.
Cause I wonder why haven't there been like custom made systems to run Steam, like handheld stuff,
Yeah,
like the
well,
one
I
that I
mean,
seen that.
I know that the Legion Go S is getting a version with Steam OS on it. So and Steam already kind of announced that they were going to partner with companies to put their stuff on there, right? So
Uh,
yeah, uh, I think you're definitely going to see that kind of move over, but also I think Steam is doing the, hey, this is an Xbox ad better than Xbox is doing. I think they're just doing a better job. And like, I still think that, um, Steam is still like a niche thing, but like at the end of the day, it's like they can do whatever they want and people will pay attention. And
mhm.
I think Nintendo has always been that way too, and I think what you're gonna see is that at the end of the day, like, PlayStation will always be around, But I think once Xbox fully goes away, which I think it is probably within the next 5 years, I would say like the Xbox proper, like a
Yeah.
whatever hardware they make, their next piece of hardware is going to be it's going to have a PC component to it. I and at that point like Xbox is over. Um, Especially when they make the full transition of, hey, everything's on PlayStation and Nintendo now, but like if you subscribe to Game Pass, like you have our box, that's where you can pay for the subscription. That's kind of what their model is going to have to be now. Uh, but I think once Xbox kind of fully becomes that third party publisher with an asterisk
Yeah.
next to it, um, I think PlayStation, you're going to look at PlayStation and be like, oh, well, they might be the new third place team. uh, because I think Steam has clearly known what they're doing forever. Um, I think Nintendo clearly has a position in this handheld space that they're in that's unique and will never be topped by anybody because they're
Yeah.
Nintendo. And I don't know. That's just my opinion. I don't know how valid it is. I don't know. You can not believe me if you want. I don't care. I just that's just my opinion at this point. So
Well, I think we'll see in the future what happens with the Nintendo successor and Steam and
I think
the
we're gonna see
ROG
sooner than you
Ally.
think, Ed.
Yeah, yeah, we will see. Because I wonder if the new console from Nintendo, what things they're going to have you that you just can't find in PC handheld, and with Microsoft and Sony take that idea and try to elevate it and make it their own.
Mm-hmm.
And will Steam and them also do the same thing? Because I think that's the one thing I know. Some of it's just like when it comes to their next console, what is going to be the battery life for
Mm-hmm.
that console when it's
Yeah.
in handheld? If it still could deliver, I would say 5 to 6 hours of a game, depending on the game, and something like the Steam Deck and ROG Ally can't really hold that much. It's gonna really tell a different story to be like, how is Nintendo able to have this, but you guys can't? And you got
Right.
all of these PC components in it.
Right. Yeah.
So
We'll see. I think I don't know. I still think at the end of the day, like I think that Nintendo is in a great position. I think
mhm.
Steam is always going to be in a great position. They're just they're an incredible company. Valve is. They're just a fascinating company. And Sony is you know PlayStation is just I don't know. They're an interesting thing too from all kinds of perspectives, but um, Xbox is sadly the odd man out at this point. And it's
Mhm.
they took too long. Their ideas are great. Their games are like the games they're putting out now are great. They're wonderful, and the games coming up seem great. I think they took too long, and I think that also the thing that hurt them was the Activision acquisition. I think that really hurt their trajectory too, in a lot of ways. They could have bought a bunch of smaller studios. We talk about Crystal Dynamics all the time, Eidos Montreal. Square sold them for $300 million. That's so cheap. They could have had their mobile game
Exactly.
studio with them. They could have had, they could have had Deus Ex and Tomb Raider. Those IP. Um, they could have probably talked to Bungie and figured that out. Maybe Bungie wouldn't be in this position. Who knows? Because Microsoft would have bailed them out. I don't know. I just think they are just always fumbling their layups. Always. And I think Microsoft is just not they're not an entertainment company,
Mm-hmm.
And so I just think they're never going to figure it out. And I mean, if you're not going to figure out with Phil and Sarah and Matt at the top, right,
Yeah.
and Todd Howard and all these people, if you're not going to figure it out with them, they're not going to figure it out, you know. And I actually think they probably figured it out, but this Activision deal killed their creativity and their plan. I really think that the financial position that acquisition put them in, besides the purchase, like you got to think about the 2 years of court cases. You think about the,
Yeah.
you know, the buyout extension, the, you know, the golden parachute they sent Bobby Kotick out on, like, you know, they acquired him for $68 billion, but that probably cost them closer to $75 billion, you know, like, and that's why they had so many
If
layoffs, and that's why they had so many.
and
They're pinching pennies now because they spent $75 billion on this company that
dollars.
they didn't need to.
Well, because I think the thing about it was, how do we stop PlayStation? How do we,
Yes,
um, take the big spot? Well, let's buy the biggest, or let's acquire the biggest publishers,
yeah, but who
and
said that? Was it Phil or was it Satya Nadella and the
I
Microsoft
that
leadership?
I
You know,
that
I mean, that's something we may never know, right? I mean,
yeah.
I have an idea,
Uh,
right? But uh, you know, that's something we probably will never truly know, and it's
because
sad, but
because the thing about it is that when it comes to acquire, like I don't, I'm sorry, Bungie. I think acquisition didn't work out well for Sony. I don't think the ZeniMax and um Activision didn't really work out well for them. It took Rare a long time. Um, Ninja Theory is getting there, but that's gonna be a while. That's gonna be a while. Like, not saying that Ninja Theory isn't important or anything, but like people don't think when it comes to Xbox, they think of Ninja Theory. Um,
why? I
this
mean, why
business
would
deal
they
that
though? You know, I mean, no, they haven't.
they don't
Yeah,
have a huge like library of games and stuff. I mean, I'm not saying that Ninja Theory is a bad developer, but they they were like developing games for other people, other publishers,
I mean, Ninja
before they were
Theory,
able to
Ninja
make
Theory
it.
was a great pickup, and we talked about it. You know,
Yeah, it
we talked
was.
about it a lot. I think they are a great studio. I think
They are.
I mean, I
I,
know for somehow I'm in the, you know, we're in the minority of Hellblade
mm,
2. And like part of me gets it, but also part of me is like, I don't get it, but
I think it was such a surprise because of them working on games for other companies, and you just Ninja Theory is such a Ninja Theory purchasing was such a left field idea, um, because people, like I said, you just didn't think of them in that way. You recognize their quality of their games. That's something that nobody can deny. It's just that you're just surprised that when they showed it at E3, it's just like, wait, Microsoft and Ninja Theory, they bought
mhm.
them, huh? And that's why when ZeniMax got brought by Microsoft, it's just like, wait a minute, I thought, just like with Elder Scrolls and being a big factor and Fallout being a big factor, um, did Microsoft like stop them? Um, or was they just like, oh, they are a big company, definitely for the PC market, so we should snag them? Because it really feels that like a lot of these companies change once they got acquired, you know. And
Yeah, but who changed though?
I think both Sony and Microsoft
Oh,
changed,
oh,
because it was, I think the factor was is that they got these companies and then it's just like it didn't pan out the way they thought it would. And small old, Nintendo, who don't have big third-party support and stuff, it's just winning across the board. They
Yeah.
got some acquisitions, and those acquisitions are paying off for them to the
Yeah.
point where, yeah, we don't talk about them or anything, but like Nintendo didn't spend all that money just to have them, just to fight some wars to see who could get players into their ecosystem.
Yeah.
In a sense,
Yeah.
because I'm just, and like Steam doesn't have to really. I mean, Valve doesn't have to worry about this because they're on top of a digital platform. Epic is supposed. I mean, when Epic first came out, it looked like they were going to be giving Steam a run for their money. Definitely with the revenue thing, with the purchases of their games on their platform, but that didn't work out.
Well, it didn't work out because I think us not being in the PC space, like from the outside looking in, that looks like, trouble for Steam, but also like I think Epic learned that people want to be where their library is, right? And I think Steam took advantage of that, and that's why the Steam Deck is so popular.
Yeah, and I know that Epic Games had like 6 or 1 year exclusive for games on their platform.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think Borderlands was like 6 months or a year.
Borderlands was a year. I mean, Alan Wake 2 is still exclusive, which is why the PC sales are so poor.
And you would think that will work out. And then here comes just the Nintendo Switch, and it's just like, I think when the success of the system and the games, definitely from the indies and some third party who were willing to give the system a try if they put in the work, definitely with all the porting stuff, they just started seeing good numbers. I'm like, when you're seeing indies hit good numbers, limited run hitting good numbers, or the collectors, the double dipping in all of that, like it put a different whole focus on Nintendo in that business.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like the weaker one, or the one that doesn't get included when it comes to video games discussions and big AAA stuff, they're on the sideline winning.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the Switch.
Yeah.
And I kind of wonder if when the successor come out, will that be the same way?
Right. Guess we'll find out, huh?
I guess we will.
This week, probably on Thursday during the boss.
During the bossies.
I'm gonna be so bad.
I would be like, I need you to get off of work for a good 10 minutes. And we need to record something.
That's not going to be Thursday. Anyways.
But I think we're going to end it right there, Corey.
No. Yeah, okay.
So, well, everybody, that's going to be it for Expansion Pass. Kind of want to hear your thoughts. What did you think about fan art for consoles and handhelds? And why do you think we haven't seen it? How do you feel about Nintendo versus Valve and Steam? Do you think these acquisitions that Sony and Microsoft have, did they pay off? We want to hear your thoughts. And with that, everybody, have a great week, have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time on Expansion Pass. Bye, everybody.
Goodbye. If you want to see how you can become a Patreon producer, head on over to patreon.com/BossRushNetwork. The Patreon producers for this month are Adriel Munger, Austin Campbell, Celeste Roberts, Christian S., Sana Deering, Francisco Santillan, Matthew Keel, and Todd Oxtra. Thanks for your continued support of the Boss Rush Network.